But I think it's probably not any better time than now to be gathered here for this conference. We've had an incredible bonanza of sport so far this year, peppered by a string of heart-stopping and breathtaking moments. Okay, Andy Murray couldn't repeat his success of last year, and we all had to adopt a team for the World Cup. I even went to the lengths of joining in the sweepstake in the office in the hope that I'll have another team to follow, and I called England out of a hat. So my son has insisted we now follow the Netherlands, and then when they get knocked out, we'll then follow Argentina. But what we have done is we've seen, again, I think, the power of sport that it has to move and unite us like nothing else on earth. And we just need to witness those coffinous crowds that were crammed all along the route of the well-known Yorkshire showcase of the Tour de France this week. And it's, I think, done real wonders to reignite that London Olympic vibe, and will have, I'm sure, and I think most importantly, inspired many more children to, as they now say, zoom like through. And in amongst it all, I'm pleased that I've also managed to find some time to continue to get stuck in, on and off the field. I ran my 9th London Marathon in April, and whilst I was just picked to being the fastest MP, I didn't achieve a personal best time, which made up for reaching 40 in some way, shape or form. And in need of another goal to aim for, I followed up with my first stab at tackling a proper triathlon a few weeks ago. It was pretty gruelling, pretty gut-busting, but ultimately it was a real great sense of achievement, and I just beat my wife too. I also had a recent tennis knockabout with the speaker at the Lawn Tennis Association event for schools, where we played on the Palace Green right in the heart of Westminster. It was, of course, wonderful to see the children enjoying themselves in such a setting, but I'm afraid that the speaker had rather sneakily got the upper hand on me. He changed into his tennis whites, whilst I found myself serving and volleying in my suit in one of the hottest days of the year. It wasn't one of my finest moments on court, it has to be said, but it clearly took a lot out of the speaker, judging by his perhaps overly relaxed pose whilst he was watching the men's tennis final on the centre court this Sunday. And like the speaker, and like so many of you, I've been avidly following the World Cup and Wimbledon, but as fantastic as it is watching the world's top sports stars at their peak, we know that it can be even more rewarding seeing a field full of children in action at their own level, having the time of their lives. And that was certainly my experience when I went to this year's school games in Bedford, which, with your backing and that of the National Lottery and Sainsbury's, continues to go from strength to strength. 17,500 schools have taken part this year. That's almost 3/4 of all schools. There were some exceptional performances, but more than anything, it was the passion and the pride of the children taking part, and that of their teachers, that I took away from that day. And I saw this same pride and passion a few days ago when I visited a number of schools in Manchester with a great track record in PE and sport. We want many more children to have these sorts of opportunities, to have fun, get fit and compete, which is why, in keeping with today's theme, we're taking action on several fronts and can see this starting to have an impact. Just last week, whilst I was in Manchester, I announced that we're extending the programme to develop specialist primary teachers. It was a pleasure to meet some of the first intake of 120 trainees whilst there, and I'm pleased to see that we have, I think, around about 40 of them here today as well. They include some really high calibre graduates and will be qualified to teach from this September. And I know from speaking to them that they're raring to go, ready to pass down their love of PE and sport to the next generation, so I'm delighted that we're now recruiting more bright, committed professionals to join them. And this comes on top of the £450 million that we've already committed to PE and sport in primary schools up until 2016, a major recognition of the vital job that you all do, as well as the Prime Minister's own personal commitment to continue the fund the primary PE and sport premium until 2020. But the money only works on the ground if it's spent wisely and it demonstrates that it's making a difference. And so to that end, I want to thank all of you for all the hard work and dedication that you're putting in, day out, to help young people raise their game and experience the power of sport for themselves. Now, as you know, the PE and sport premium is the only money for schools. It's ring-fenced. It's reflecting our commitment right across government at a time when money we know is tight to school sport. But it also reflects our trust in you and in your schools to decide for yourselves how to spend the money to boost PE teaching and participation levels. And when I spoke to you last year, I talked about ways in which you could go about doing just that. Whether by bringing in specialist sports experts to upskill staff, by buying new equipment, investing in facilities, or otherwise investing in continuous professional development and training. Or, as some schools are doing, pooling that money together and using the collective buying power to get a better deal. And the good news is that a year on, we can see these efforts beginning to bear fruit. Like at Our Lady's Primary School in Manchester, who've decided to invest in the professional development of all staff, including teaching assistants and the lunchtime organisers. They've also focused on good PE provision for children with special educational needs and social, mental and emotional needs. And also in efforts made by Chellaston Infant School in Derby, just not far from here, to ramp up participation in sports clubs and competitions and encourage people to take part in active lunchtimes with new playmates. Now, I'm reliably informed, and I apologise if I'm wrong, but both schools are represented here today. And they're among over 80 schools that have been awarded the afPE Quality Mark, and those have been rolling up on the screen up there. Well done, whoever's just put it up. And that's a recognition of their achievements, their brilliant achievements, and I hope it will inspire others. And it's not just primary schools that are benefiting. We're seeing the school premium bringing primary and secondary schools closer together too. In Richmond, for example, Brompton-on-Swale Primary School is working closely with the local secondary to provide training for staff in netball and hockey. The schools are also using their premium money to support newly qualified teachers and in participation in after-school clubs. And more generally, I know of emerging networks of primary and secondary schools in regions as diverse as Devon, Manchester, Southwark and Leeds. But as well as supporting schools through the PE premium, we've underscored the importance of PE in the new national curriculum whilst ensuring it remains compulsory at all 4 key stages. And so in that endeavour, I want to thank afPE and the PE subject expert group, who are also represented here today, for their sterling work in putting together all this material. I also want to thank afPE for their efforts to not only support schools through the quality mark, but also their commitment to improving the quality of teaching. 70 centres now across England have been approved to deliver afPE's new Level 5 and 6 qualification. And that's a significant step forward for the profession. And Sue in particular, who has discovered a secret garden, it's not Tom's, it seems to be Edward's, but we'll live with that. Sue deserves huge credit for the work that she's done with the British Gymnastics Association and the Football Association to get them on board as part of our work to train more specialist primary teachers. And that's a testament, I think, to Sue's tenacity and enthusiasm to bring everyone along with us. And I think it's also important to acknowledge that at the same time as the new curriculum kicks in this September, we've also got major reforms to special educational needs underway. And these reforms aim to put parents of young people in the driving seat as never before and require education, health and social care to work together much more closely to improve outcomes. Opportunities to enjoy and achieve in sport, as other children do, are very much part of this push. So that's why we've introduced requirements for schools to make public, online, information about their SEN provision and also their PE and sport premium offer, so schools will have to actively show how they're serving pupils of all abilities and needs. And I'm pleased to report that they're increasingly stepping up and doing just that. 50 schools, like the outstanding Redwood School in Rochdale I visited last week, run the Projectability strand of the school games, which aims to increase sporting opportunities for disabled young people. And for the first time, Change for Life clubs now offer the Paralympic sports, bocce and wheelchair basketball. That's, I believe, an important development, because we're particularly keen to drive up opportunities for pupils, disabled and otherwise, to take part in competitive sport, not just to nurture those with natural talent to elite level and win more medals, as welcome as that is, but by being ambitious for all children, instilling in them a lifelong love of sport and physical activity, with all the benefits that this has for their health, their character, confidence, improved concentration and behaviour, for higher aspiration and achievement. This link between excellence on and off the field was underlined just a few weeks ago by Ofsted, which found that state schools that do the best in competitive sport also tend to score highly overall. And where competitive sport is at the centre of school life and embedded into everything, we can see that this helps build a strong ethos that lifts the entire school. But to fully reap the rewards, to really make this work stick, we must engage with parents to spark the passion that gets children active at an early age, and that keeps them active as they grow older. And it's all too easy to talk about children who are sporty and those who aren't. I believe that there's something for every child, be it ball game, ballet, gymnastics, jiu-jitsu, rock climbing, or even marathon running, that will leave them raring to go now and for life. We just have to find it. And I have no doubt that you all have an essential role to play in harnessing the power of sport to change our lives and helping us achieve a worthy legacy of the 2012 Olympics. So I hope I've demonstrated that we're eager to do everything we can to support you through the premium, through the drive for more specialist teachers, and of course through our work with afPE and all of you. Now, of course, there's clearly always more that we can do, particularly to celebrate and spread the good practice which many of you are offering every day, especially in areas where the market is developing quickly. So, as you look to the year ahead, you might want to think about what innovative ideas you could share with colleagues in areas with perhaps less well-established PE provision, or consider how schools can best verify the quality of external coaches if they choose to employ them. But overall, I'm confident that we are on track. The action we're taking is having a real, meaningful impact. And I want to say again how grateful I am to everybody for everything that you're doing to give the next generation the chance to be the best that they can be. And who knows where it could take them. Mo Farah's journey to Olympic gold started, as we know, with an inspirational PE teacher who saw how sport could help a boy who couldn't even speak English find his place in the world. And while not every child will win the Olympics, or the Tour de France, the World Cup, or Wimbledon, they certainly deserve the chance to aim for those heights, to go further and faster than they ever